Bună ziua și bine ați venit la o nouă ediție a ZF Tech Day, emisiune realizată de Ziarul Financiar în parteneriat cu Orange Business Services, ce își propune să fie un ghid pentru companii și instituții în demersurile lor de a se folosi de tehnologie, pentru a funcționa mai eficient și mai rapid, pentru a servi mai bine clienții și pentru a colabora mai simplu. Astăzi discutăm despre impactul pandemiei în businessul furnizorilor mari din ITNC și despre cele mai căutate tehnologii din această perioadă. Pentru a dezbate acest subiect, o avem alături de noi pe Anja Monrad, Senior Vice President and General Manager în cadrul Dell Technologies pentru regiunea Europei Centrale și de Est. So we have to switch to English now. Hi Anja and welcome to ZF Tech Day.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. First of all, I want to ask you about the impact that this crisis caused by the pandemic had on Dell's business here in Central and Eastern Europe. What were your challenges and how did you adapt to this situation?
Yeah, obviously a great question. I think that everyone was hit when we were back in March, and it wasn't just Dell and the companies obviously in Central Eastern Europe, but the whole world basically packed up and moved online and were impacted by the pandemic over the course of a very, very short time. There's no doubt that being in the IT industry have been much easier than being in many, many other industries, because despite this being a very, very difficult time for all of us, it had really proven why technology is so important. We've used technology to homeschool, we've used technology to work from home, and we've used technology to stay connected with friends and families under the different lockdowns across the whole globe, right? So we've really seen how crucial technology is in all functions. And so from that perspective, you can say IT have been the right place to be, because we've obviously been in a situation where we could help our customers across the region maintain their business running. But for ourselves internally, we had to pack down as well and move everyone home and move everyone online. And we have a long history and experience of working from home. Or working remotely is probably the right expression. So over 10 years, we've already done that. So we had a lot of experience. We had the infrastructure set up with Zoom, with Teams, with connections everywhere. So even though we needed to move roughly 160,000 employees home and working from home, we had the basic infrastructure set up already. So we were in a very, very good situation from that point of view.
Okay, so internally it was easier because you have already been working remotely. But how was the interaction with your clients? And also, I know Dell offers a lot of products and services. So I want to ask you, which were your best sellers, your bestseller products and services?
Yeah, so obviously there's a huge difference in the way that we have been engaging and interacting with our customers over the last couple of months and quarters, because our salespeople and technical support people and customer care people couldn't just go out and visit customers. So all of that have obviously also happened remotely, and we've actually seen that in many cases that our customers really appreciated the new way of engaging. So to give you an example, when we do events and we do like product launches, we actually found that the attendance to our product launches was way higher than it was in the real world, because now customers could just tune in, stay for half an hour, really get the digest of the information, and then move on to other things without having to waste time on transportation. So in those ways that worked. But when you look at cases where we don't have any relations, obviously that's way, way more difficult for our sales to engage with customers. But in areas where we've for many, many years spoken about remote access for tech support. And we've said to customers, hey, we can do this remotely. We can just give us access to your systems and we can do tech support remotely. We've actually seen customers really appreciate that over the last couple of months. In terms of the customers and what's happening at the customer site, we have over the years done a biannual research where we call Digital Transformation Index that really looks at where European, global companies actually, but I'll focus a little bit on the European part, how they have digitally transformed. And it's been very, very interesting to see, because this research was done in July and August, so like straight into the midst of this pandemic. And it's interesting to see how our customers have actually accelerated their digital transformation in this year. So things that we thought would take a decade to get to have actually been accelerated rapidly throughout this year.
Can you give us some examples? I mean, what services they have now and they didn't, or what kind of products?
Yeah, sure. So first, to give you a couple of numbers on European level, the way that we look at it, we look at like digital laggers, followers, evaluators, adapters, and leaders, right? Those are the 5 categories we're looking at. And in the category of digital laggers, so the ones that don't have a digital plan or have limited initiatives or limited investments, for 4 years ago, that number across Europe was 14% in the self-assessment of customers. In 2020, that number gone down to 2%. So only 2% said, we don't have a digital plan, we don't know what to do, right? And the number of digital leaders, so the ones that say, hey, this is in our DNA, this is what we're going to do, have doubled. So customers have really started thinking about digitalization. So to give you some examples, it's everything from retailers that all over the course of the pandemic saw their shops closing down. If they didn't have a very, very strong digital presence, obviously the online shopping environment over the last couple of months have become crucial importance. So the focus was gone on how can we expand that part of our business into an online environment instead of only the brick and mortar environment. We've obviously, you can see in the whole medical area and the whole area of doctors have transformed from physical consultations to a telemedicine. So the way that we are engaging with doctors today over at the starting point, just over Zoom or Teams calls, but over time that's going to evolve in a much broader and richer experience of having telemedicine. So those would be two areas that we've seen a big change for our customers. But everyone is now thinking of, just to give you another example, banks. I had a conversation with a couple of our customers the other day in the finance sector, and they said, hey, branch banks offices, around customers couldn't come to the branch. So all of a sudden, all the online banking became way, way more important than it had been in the past. So that have actually accelerated as well. But you can take every single industry, and there's been a huge element of evaluating, adapting digital transformation into their business models.
So the demand for IT services and IT products is much higher than it was last year.
Oh yeah, and apologies for forgetting the second part of your question. You asked about the best sellers. There's no doubt that when we look at our financial results that we just published last week, or was it this week actually, that we published. We see on a global scale our business growing year on year, and we see our client business, so the business that is notebooks and desktops, the systems that are used to work from home, to school from home, have had a massive increase year over year, and the same goes for our consumer business. So those are definitely the best sellers, if you would say.
Okay, and what about storage, networking, servers, and infrastructure businesses?
Yeah, so the whole business actually had a year-on-year increase. So we're very proud of that, and we can see that in comparison with many of our peers in the industry, we've had very, very strong year-to-date performance. In the very, very beginning of the pandemic, some of these projects, the bigger infrastructure projects, were put a little bit on hold because everyone was super busy of getting their infrastructure set up to have employees work from home. But as soon as that was done, the effort started going back into how are we going to transform the business? How are we going to maintain the projects that we have? And those are the bigger like infrastructure projects in the storage, server, and networking area, definitely.
So you said that Dell's business grew this year, but how much exactly?
Yeah, so in the third quarter, our revenue went up 3% year on year, and then obviously, and we can share with you all of the details of the different parts of the business. But we can definitely see that the services part, the part where we go out and help our customers, have also increased massively, 10% year on year.
So this is for the whole company, the whole group, not just in Europe.
No, for Dell Technologies overall. We don't split out the regional data in our reporting that way, or we don't public that.
You have a broad perspective managing Dell Technologies in many different countries in the region. So my question is, what are the differences now on the CE markets regarding the stage of digital transformation for both actors, private companies and public sector?
Yeah, so I would say there is like as such that there isn't really, you can't really say that the Central Eastern European market is massively different from other markets, but the countries have different areas of focus and performance. And I would call out, so the European Union makes an index that they call Digital Economy and Society Index, the DESI index, where they look at digitalization in a broader perspective and rank all of the EU countries in that. And from that perspective, Romania is really at the bottom of the list right now, and that provides a huge opportunity for the Romanian companies and the public sector in Romania to increase the focus on digitalization, so that Romania can become even stronger in situations like we have right now with the global pandemic, where digitalization has been so important. So in areas of integration of digital technology, Romania is lagging behind the other countries. In the areas of digital in the public sector, Romania is also lagging behind. So again, some opportunities, and it's really in the area of STEM education, where Romania is super strong. So one of the strongest in Europe, where you have a lot of STEM educational students coming out. So ICT graduates, right? So then Romania is actually ranking in the top 5. So it's a great opportunity to take all of that talent and funnel that into translating into real projects to help Romania forward.
Exactly. We have talent, but unfortunately, our public sector is not that developed, to say, in terms of digitalization, unfortunately.
But that provides a great opportunity, right, going forward, because you do have the talent and you do have the graduates coming out.
Yes, that's true. Which do you think are the trends now in the region on the technology market? For which kind of technology do you see a high demand from clients?
Yeah, so there's right now we have clients in all areas, and obviously, as mentioned, everyone is understanding the need of digital transformation. And we're seeing, as mentioned before, obviously work from home is super critical now with the lockdowns across all of the globe. So we see more and more customers that are focusing around how they can actually provide a stable and secure environment for their employees. I think in the beginning it was very much around getting people home quickly and up and running. Now it really becomes much more on how do we find the right way of maintaining this in a hybrid model going forward, where we're hearing from our clients that more and more are saying that they are never going to go back to the normal pre-pandemic situation, but they're going to be in a hybrid model where a lot of their employees are going to be working from home. So the whole work from home area is obviously important. A couple of other areas that are obvious and critical is the whole educational and schooling area, where again today most of the schooling have really been around just a Zoom connection or other kind of like connections, and have been very dependent on the skill set of the teachers. So one of the areas where we see there is focus coming in is on the modern classroom. How do we actually integrate technology into education going forward? How can we use areas like augmented reality or virtual reality to have a lab experience through goggles that you can use, and then you can kind of like immerse yourself into a lab experience? How can you use AI or machine learning to help colorblind students to have color rendering in the way that things are being presented in a virtual education setup? And how are we going to use a hybrid classroom environment to open up for teachers from the whole world to be able to teach children globally? So now you're not only going to be dependent on the knowledge of one teacher, but you can actually open up for the whole academia of the world. So that's another area where we're really seeing technology accelerating. The whole telemedicine area, again, another area of focus in the last couple of months. So how do we expand the way that we are engaging with the health system? And again, just like in schooling, you now through technology can have access to the whole research and knowledge of all doctors in the world that can actually take a look at your diagnosis through technology. And then using augmented doctors that can use artificial intelligence and other tools as well for the interaction with patients. And then the real doctor can really spend time on the more like empathy and conversational part of the consultation. So there's a huge lot areas of focus. And the last one I would mention would be the whole robotics and logistics area. So as again, we've seen lockdowns and we've seen challenges with distributing goods across borders, distributing goods in countries where there's been lockdowns, challenges with maintaining manufacturing because, again, of lockdowns. We've seen opportunities for using robotics and using drones and other things. So technology kind of like comes in multiple areas.
Yes, that's true. Now it's present in each and every industry. You mentioned different industries like education and healthcare. So I want to ask you, what are the clients from these sectors looking for? You mentioned also a lot of innovative technologies, but are these really going to be implemented?
I think they will, but it's not going to happen overnight. right? I think what we've learned in the last couple of months through this time of this pandemic is the importance of technology and the importance of actually thinking through how we can make lives easier through digitalization. But so we've maybe accelerated the acceptance of technology, but we haven't necessarily accelerated the implementation yet. But we're starting to do so, and I think it will come in and will come faster than we thought. We've been talking about the data era being here and being here in 2030. I think all of that have accelerated, but it's a journey, and we're definitely not there yet.
But did they increase their budgets for digitalization?
So we can definitely see, and our results obviously also show that we can actually see a increased demand for digitalization amongst our clients, and we can also see that the ones that are furthest ahead on the digitalization curve are the ones that have survived the last couple of months in a better way, in a better financial way than others. So I think the technology have definitely proven its impact for these businesses.
What do you expect from the end of this year for Dell Technology as a whole business and here in the region?
So we're obviously not providing any forward-looking analysis of where we think financially we're going to end, but we have a lot of opportunity to help our customers come from where they've started their digital transformation right now and then continue that journey with them. And as mentioned, this is only the beginning of the journey. So there is big opportunities. We're not finished on setting up schools from home. We're not finished from setting up work from home solutions with our clients, and definitely not finished with the digital transformational projects. So a lot of great opportunities ahead of us for not just this year but beyond.
How do you think 2021 will be? Which will be the trends if this pandemic will slow down? I know it will not be over next year, unfortunately, but at least we expect a slowdown. So what do you think it will change regarding, for example, the behavior of the companies or the trends in technology?
So I think, no matter whether the pandemic is going to be over or not, I hope we've learned something from the last couple of months and quarters. And one part of it is obviously the way that we engage with clients. And I think that some of these learnings can be implemented so that we do more things in a virtual world, that we don't necessarily need to see the travel that has been going on in the world previously. Myself, for an example, used to travel 3-4 days a week. I haven't been traveling since March, and although I miss it, I don't think I'm going to go back to traveling 3-4 days a week every single week. I think that there's a part of my job that can be done over Zoom meetings going forward. So I think those will be some of the things that I hope we will change the way that we're going to be working. But I think the biggest part is really going to be how are we going to implement the emerging technologies of the world, like artificial intelligence, like machine learning, like data collection from edge, like hybrid cloud solutions, like data management. All of these things that implemented in the right way are really going to help the European and Romanian companies, be better suited for surviving a pandemic, but also maybe being better prepared for the future ahead.
Can you also share with us what do you expect from the Romanian market next year? What targets do you have for the Romanian market?
Yeah, we're obviously not sharing the details of each of the markets, but I can tell you that we are a leader in the infrastructure business in Romania. A clear number one in position on the market, and we're definitely expecting to maintain and expand that going forward. There is again, a lot of opportunities of helping Romanian companies move up in the Digital Transformation Index in Europe, both from the public sector and the private sector. So there is a good expectation that we can engage together with clients and help them on their journey.
Okay, then we're looking forward to next year to see which technologies will be implemented by the Romanian companies and also by the government. Thank you for joining us today, Anja.
Thank you very much for having me. It was really a pleasure.
Aceasta a fost ediția de astăzi a emisiunii ZF Tech Day, realizată în parteneriat cu Orange Business Services. Vă mulțumim că ne-ați urmărit și vă așteptăm și săptămâna viitoare cu un nou subiect de tehnologie. O zi bună!
Alef News.
Știu ce spun.
A mai găsit astăzi o fabrică de permise. La Suceava, un carnet de conducere costă între 5.000 și 7.000 de euro. Pare un conflict între două instituții, MEAI și DNA. Cine să comunice primul?
Știu ce te interesează.
662 de kilometri de autostrăzi au răsărit în România, deocamdată pe hârtie, în PowerPoint-ul președintelui Iohannis. Se felicită pe el însuși.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
Locuitorii unui sat din Austria, Fuching, schimbă denumirea localității. Nu stăm rău nici noi în România. Băicoi, Beliș, Măciuca sau Căcăcioasă, de acolo vin eu.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
A murit Diego Armando Maradona.
Mi-e sufletul mai tumefiat și mai vânăt.
A fost un Dumnezeu al fotbalului.
A fost în viață exact cum a fost pe teren. Perpendicular, direct, mereu spre poartă. Uite că ultimul șut ăsta a dus mingea în cer.
Știu să conving. Ziua Internațională pentru Eliminarea Violenței împotriva femeilor. Lasă că a meritat-o. De ce și-a pus fusta aia scurtă? Nu există nicio scuză pentru ca femeile să fie abuzate.
Știu să câștig.
Felix, always a pleasure.
Felicitări amândurora.
Știu, deci știi.
N-am pierdut chiar atât de mult, însă...
Avem o misiune în fiecare zi, să-ți dăm un motiv în plus, să spui știu cu capul sus.
Știu.
Caută Alef News în rețeaua ta de cablu și selectează la favorite pe televizorul tău. O să-ți placă.